Lita Shri Vishakhanditanscham. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimade Bhaktivedanta Swamin iti namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatyadeshatarane Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayed. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, dear devotees, I would like to throw some light on this particular verse, 18, 12. And I have a little PowerPoint here. It's not, I mean, it's like really not very detailed because it's just one verse, and I kind of created it just as I was studying, so not very elaborate, but will suffice for our purpose today. So this is Bhagavad Gita 18:12, and the two terms which are most important to learn in this verse are atyagi versus sannyasi. There are two different types of personalities that are being discussed, and one is atyagi and the other one is sannyasi. And so I have should I show the next screen, or anyway, so let's go back to our verse actually. Yes. So this is the verse: for one who is not renounced the threefold fruits of action, desirable, undesirable, and mixed, they accrue after death. So let's talk a little bit of this first phrase, that Krishna is speaking about, as you can see, people who are in the renounced order of life and who are in karma yoga in the renounced mood. So if you see in the beginning, there are two terms that were asked by Arjuna, was tyagi and sannyasi, and Krishna replied, what is tyaga and what is sannyas, right? So I actually made a little recap here, so I'm going to share with you so we can discuss that. So here's a little, okay. So here is a little recap I made. So if you remember in the very first second verse of the Gita, where Krishna begins answering Arjuna's question, and he mentions that, so I made these two columns. One is tyaga and one is sannyasa, because those are the two terms being discussed. And Krishna says, one who is doing sarva karma phala tyaga. So karma phala, which is the results of our activities, when one gives it up, it's called a tyaga. And whereas a sannyasa means giving up the material activities, or the activities which are driven by material desires to earn, to enjoy. So those are called kamya karma. And so one who gives up the karma itself, the kamya karma itself, is a sannyas, is the sannyasa, is the renounced order of life. So where do we fit? In the beginning, we can always keep ourselves in the center, so we know what we are discussing. So we are not sannyasis. Most of us are in the household life where we do the kamya karma because in order to maintain our families, etc. So we haven't given up the material activities. But being in Krishna consciousness, we are learning to give up the results of our activities, which means karma phala, tyaga, we are doing, right? And in the next 1 or 2 verses, Krishna discusses the prescribed duty. So if you see, the sannyasi also does the prescribed duty, and the householder also does a prescribed duty. Now, Krishna warns that even though a sannyasi has taken the renounced order of life, the prescribed duties as per the Vedic rituals are not to be given up by anybody, not even sannyasi. And they are yajna, tapa, and dana. So a sannyasi is not able to give up these niyata karma. He does give up the kamya karma, which is driven by desires to enjoy, but he does not give up the niyata karma. Whereas a tyagi, who's in the householder life, who's trying to be Krishna conscious devotee, also does not give up niyata karma and does his karma, which is kamya karma, but with detachment, as if it's a duty that has to be done, whether it is good or bad, whether it is pleasant or unpleasant. And the reason, because Krishna says that to give up any activity is not possible, because we are active by nature. And it is necessary to maintain our bodies and minds in a healthy way in this world. So in the middle of the Gita, Krishna had mentioned that particular verse. It says, you have to maintain proper body, otherwise you cannot think about spirituality. So doing activities is a part of our existence. We cannot give up activities just like that. And that's why Krishna says that you do the activities. There's nothing wrong in doing the activities, but do them as per the prescribed duty, not whimsically, and do them with detachment. So this is the tyagi section, where doing prescribed duties with detachment. And with detachment means understanding that I am not the doer. So I'm not attached to my work as if I am the owner, I am the supreme controller of everything. Later on, Krishna will explain that there are so many other factors in addition to myself if I want to do one single activity in this world. So with that understanding, doing the prescribed duty with detachment is the tyagi's situation. And as far as the sannyasi is concerned, if you see in the other column, the sannyasi is doing his niyata karma, or his niyata karma, prescribed duty, for the pleasure of Krishna, and with detachment, with no expectation of results, and as duty. Right? So more or less the discussion that's been done so far by Krishna is about this karma yoga for the tyagis and karma sannyas for the sannyasis. Now, sorry, go back. Okay, now if you see, let's take a look here. For one who is not renounced, the threefold fruits of action, they accrue after death. So you see, we all can understand that when we do good karma, there is a good result. When we do bad karma, there's a bad reaction. And most of the times what we experience in this world is a mixed of the two. And good, actually, I'll probably go to the next slide. Good and bad and mixed results. So as has been explained by Srila Prabhupada in the translation, the good can mean the good results of our pious karma, which we will enjoy in heavenly planets or on earth. You see, because we do enjoy some good reactions in this on earth as well. It's not just heaven. So good reactions either on earth or in heaven. And similarly, bad reactions to our karma, either on earth or in hell. And we don't have to go to heaven or hell to experience good or bad, because it's available on the earth. There are so many pious people, and there are so many people who enjoy opulence, beauty, power, strength, to small extent, in a tiny proportion for a tiny period of time, and then that's taken away from them. But we can see, we can enjoy, we can understand. Sometimes people have very, very good progeny, they have very good kids, and they carry on a great sublime work of the parents. So there are so many ways in which we can experience in this world what is a good reaction to karma. But in heaven, it's 100% good. The 100%, the person who goes to heaven is only there to enjoy the good karma. And when the good karma is finished, that person has to come back to earth to restart. So similarly, bad reactions. Now on earth itself, we can understand there's so many extremely worse reactions to people's karma. We see that in media, we hear stories so many times. And exclusively suffering from bad karma is happening in hell. But on earth, we get a glimpse of it. But mostly the mixed karma, which is, Mishram Karmanam, which is mentioned by Krishna, is actually happening mostly on earth, because we see our own lives, we see anybody else's lives, we analyze. Nobody has all good, nobody has all bad. We always have mixed. Even qualities, like some people have extremely good qualities, but does not mean that they do not have bad qualities or bad tendencies. And similarly, no matter how much a person may be really of low grade or even criminal, sometimes there is a good part of them which is in their hearts. So similarly, even though we have we have sometimes examples of people really suffering extremely bad, but they do have something good in their lives, which they can say, yes, I enjoyed. And it could be in terms of time. Like I know I sometimes work with prison inmates, and one of the inmates is a woman, and I see that she suffers a lot at present, extreme suffering from all sides, from wealth point of view, from prestige point of view, from children point of view, from health and other miseries point of view. Everything is a suffering. But if I saw her past, her past was very good. Her past was opulent. Her past was prestigious, very educational, very pious. So even though we see sometimes the bad reactions are happening in somebody's life, something that has already, maybe a childhood that was great, a childhood or a youth that was good. So this is the way the mixed karma we are enjoying on the earth. So this mainly on earth that we kind of experience this mixed reactions, and our lives are made up of these mixed, something good and something bad. And for that purpose, I would like to refer to two verses which we have already seen, but just as a recap. One is 13.22, and I will share that verse quickly with you here. Let me see if I can. 13:22. I hope you can see the verse. It says, Purusha prakriti sthohi bhungte prakriti jan gunan karanam guna sangosya sad asad yoni janmasu. So the living entity in the material world, this follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature, and thus he meets with good and evil among various species. So this is what we can relate again to the good and the bad. Depending upon our baggage of karma, we have something good, something bad, and it's happening in every species of life, and especially in human life, we are able to understand or analyze that. Now, similarly, in the other, there's one more verse. It's from 15th chapter. Let's see here if I can go back here in the 15th chapter. And I think it's the verse number, let's see. Eight. So if we see, so I'm going to open 15:8. So So Krishna is explaining the living entity in this material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another as the air carries aroma. Thus, he takes one kind of body and again quits it to take another. So this is the cycle. And Srila Prabhupada calls this as karma chakra, or sometimes it's also referred to as sansara chakra. And that's what is being mentioned in this first phrase, that for one who is not renounced, the threefold fruits of action, desirable, undesirable, and mixed, accrue after death. So this is the karma that we do today that will be carried forward to our next life after the death of this current body. And similarly, what happened in the past with our previous body, at the end of that body, the karma was carried forward with the help of the subtle body. And what we are doing right now, enjoying or suffering, is a result of that past. So this is the karma chakra or the sansara chakra that will go on and on and on. And that's why here, if you see my PowerPoint, yeah, so this is the person who is atyagi, who is working with attachment, and even though he or she wants to renounce, they renounce those in passion or ignorance, and that has no value or meaning. I think we saw this in the last phrase, last verses. So this is the condition. And we saw how Krishna has described that sadasad yoni janmasu, that it's going on, good and evil combination. This whole cycle is going on. And that's how we are taking different bodies. And that's why the word pretya means after death. After the death of the previous body, the subtle body carries on our karma, which is either good, bad, or mixed. And then we carry on because we never learn to understand the system. And that's how we get entangled, and we are extremely attached, and doing good karma for a great expectation keeps us bound. And then doing bad karma, of course, keeps us bound because we get a bad reaction. So there's no end to either good or bad, and the cycle continues like that. Now, understanding now, sometimes you may see, okay, my previous body has ended. So how do I enjoy or suffer in my next life? So that's why I wanted to bring your attention to this discussion by Narad Muni in the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And if you want, you could note down the number and also actually look at the whole section in more great detail. I'm just going to refer to this one verse here, which I mentioned, and that's 429.60. Okay. So I'm going to pull it. Okay. So just give me 429. So this is the discussion between Narada Muni and King Prachin Barhi. And it's a very specific information in the 60th verse. I will pull that verse for you here. So the great sage Narada Muni continued, the living entity acts in a gross body in this life. This body is forced to act by the subtle body composed of mind, intelligence, and ego. And after the gross body is lost, the subtle body is still there to enjoy or suffer. Thus, there is no change. So this is the explanation that the subtle body is actually directing the gross body. So when my present gross body is finished, the karma is carried on by the subtle body in terms of mind, intelligence, ego, and a suitable body is given based upon the situation of the subtle body, and then the gross body starts working to either suffer or enjoy. So this is the point. And the other point I wanted to bring to your attention was the discussion between Chitraketu and Mother Parvati. Now there also a very important point came up. So let me share that with you. 6:17:19. And what King Chitraketu is saying is that there are two things actually, 18 and 19 verse. So in the 18, he's mentioning that deluded by ignorance, the living entity wanders in the forest of this material world enjoying the happiness and distress resulting from his past deeds, everywhere and at all times. But more important point that he mentions in the next verse is that, see, in this material world, neither the living entity himself nor others, friends or enemies, are the cause of material happiness and distress. But because of gross ignorance, the living entity thinks that he and others are the cause. So my point here is the friends and enemies, because a lot of times we have this idea that my suffering in this world or my enjoyment in this world is because of my relatives. They are the ones who are creating happiness, or I am generating happiness because I have these relatives, wife, children. Or sometimes the distress, when comes, we blame our enemies, saying that this person is causing me distress, this situation is causing me distress. But actually, the point is that they are not the cause of our material happiness or distress. And that is very important point I wanted to bring to your attention. So in this way, if we go back to the PowerPoint, this is the karma chakra, sansara chakra, is the cycle of material existence. And why Krishna has made this arrangement of good, bad, and mixed? Why is this system of heaven, hell, and the earth, and the mixed results, especially on the earth? Is the because this is the way to keep the material world going. This is the way to keep the living entities illusioned and entangled and bound to this world, because there's always activities which are done for enjoyment, and when they're done for a good cause, they will bring good results, and they're done with a desire to enjoy at the cost of others by giving suffering to others, then the reactions or the results come as a bad reaction. And many times we do some activities with some intentions, but they bring mixed results. There's something good, but at the cost of something else. And that's how we keep on going, and the material world keeps on going. But the point is that one who knows this system, now we are studying this Bhagavad Gita in order to understand this system, so that this material world, how it works, how it operates, what are the pitfalls, what are the arrangements for liberation, every information we are gathering. So this is also one important information, that if this is the cycle of material existence to keep us bound, Durga Devi, they say the Durga, very strong fort where the living entities cannot escape. If we know that this is the system, then we can work on it. So the purpose of our study here is to understand that this is the nature of the material world that Krishna has created to keep us bound. But then, knowing with this knowledge, with the Sankhya philosophy that's being discussed, we can build our spiritual strength by spiritual practices to face the life. And to face the life means to take the good with a renounced mood, to face the bad, accepting it as our own karma. And then the mixed results come. We have the experience of both good and bad. But because we have the spiritual strength, because of our spiritual sadhana every day, we can actually see the system working. We can actually see when the good comes, we are not elated, and when the bad comes, we are not devastated. We remain stable. And that has been explained by Krishna many times. Sthita pragya, be stable in good and bad. And the mixed, of course, the mixed is the daily life that goes on. We have some good and bad always. But we get the capacity to analyze in our lives as well as in the lives of people around us, in the lives of people we hear about on media. You can see the system everywhere, that people, how they get the good results, they get the bad results, and how they suffer and enjoy. But we, being the spiritual students of the Gita, we can go above that or beyond that, because we get the strength, to understand and to experience the good and the bad, and at the same time work on detachment. Because detachment is the main element or ingredient that has been mentioned by Krishna in the next line of this verse. It says, Bhavati atyaginam pretya natu sannyasinam kvachit. So it says that, but those who are in the renounced order of life have no such result to suffer or enjoy. So we will now talk about this last, the second phrase of this verse, that those who are in the sannyasi stage, they do not have to suffer or enjoy the results of their activities. And in that way, they can gradually go towards liberation. So let's go back to the previous slide of my PowerPoint. Yeah, and here. So now we have this atyagi phrase, bhavati atyagi nam pretya. So atyagi means those people who are not spiritually aware, and they are just living their lives for enjoyment, and their activities are with extreme attachment, with extreme passion, with a great desire to enjoy. And even though they renounce the activities, those are not actually renunciation, because they are giving up because of the discomfort or because of the ignorance, and then they are giving up their act. So these are the atyagi people. But we are not necessarily into this category, because we are the spiritual students, and we can kind of connect ourselves to this word tyagi, because atyagi, the opposite or the antonym is tyagi. So the tyagi is one who is doing the duty but renouncing the fruits. And if we come on this side of this column, the sannyasi. So the sannyasi is giving up the, sorry, not the sannyasi, but I'm actually connecting these two columns now. So for a atyagi person, for who is working with attachment and great extreme desires to enjoy, the results to next life, they come through the subtle body of karma chakra, sansara chakra. We saw that. But as far as the tyagi person is concerned, to whom we are trying to connect to by doing our prescribed duties and renouncing our fruits for the pleasure of Krishna, we're trying to be in that category. For us, Krishna says that there will be no carry forward of reactions of good and bad. And as far as the sannyasi is concerned, who is doing only spiritual duty, because they do not have any kamya karma, they are doing the only niyata karma, and that too for the pleasure of Krishna. So they are doing the prescribed spiritual duty in Krishna consciousness, and they are renouncing the fruits to Krishna. And for them also, there is no carry forward of reactions. And as the sannyasi is definitely ahead of us in terms of not having the baggage of reactions of good and bad as much as we in general householders have, the sannyasi is on the path to liberation from the cycle of birth and death. So we as tyagi, and Krishna says in the verses so far that we have covered in the 18th chapter, there is no difference as such between tyagi and sannyasi, because both of them are qualified because of the detachment from work and renunciation of the results of work, giving up the results of activities, as we have seen here in the first row of this table. Sarva karma phala tyaga and karma kamyanam karma, right? Kamyanam karanam nyasam, like, which is giving up the material activities. So we as devotees, we definitely can fall into this category of tyaga, because we are trying to do karma phala tyaga. We are giving up the results to Krishna, even though we have activities. We live our regular lives, we raise our children, and we have to earn money and provide for their maintenance. We do all kinds of activities, but we are putting Krishna in the center, and we are doing for the sake of Krishna, and we are also giving up the results for Krishna's pleasure. And we are not attached that we are the doers. We are not attached to the results of our work, but we are saying we do this as a prescribed duty to be done, and then we give the results to Krishna to do whatever he wants to do. So in that way, we are definitely in the category of sannyas, even though we are not in the sannyas order, renounced order of life, but we are sannyasis if we are able to do this in Krishna consciousness. And that's why Prabhupada, he has not given a long purport, but he has only mentioned that a person in Krishna consciousness, acting in knowledge of his relationship with Krishna, is always liberated. And therefore, he does not have to enjoy or suffer the results of his acts after death. So for us, we can say that as we practice Krishna consciousness in this life, to whatever extent have we practiced and to whatever extent we are now allowed in this life further until the life ends, we will be doing our duties and renouncing the fruits of action. So in that way, we are walking on the path to get rid of the reactions of our past karma. And as we become more and more advanced, and maybe who knows, at one point we may get a life where we can actually renounce all the activities for the sake of Krishna in a renounced order, that will be a great advancement for liberating. But Prabhupada here is guaranteeing us that we as devotees, practicing devotees, may not have to enjoy or suffer the results of our activities after death, because we are giving everything. So this is not something very miraculous or magical, that today we start Krishna consciousness and we can say that all my karma, even of this life, will be burnt, so I do not have any karma in the next life. This may not happen because we have a very, very big baggage of karma. There is a lot, even though Krishna will say, I will write off your karma, but still, as the embodied living entities, it is not appropriate for us to imagine or assume that all my karma will be finished in the next life because I'm a devotee this life. No, this is a process. This is a sadhana. It's an austerity that we have to carry on, and gradually, as Krishna, as Paramatma watches us, he will rectify all our reactions, and we will have lesser and lesser reactions in our next life, so that we can walk on the path of liberation, and one day actually can also give up our material activities and only focus on our spiritual activities for the sake of Krishna. So this is my very humble understanding, and I think if you want to see, there may be an interesting verse in the 9th chapter of the Gita. I will share that and stop. Let me share that verse. Okay, so sorry. I have to move this down. Menu, library, in Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter. I think in the 2nd verse in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions. Yes. So if you can see this, the statement is confirmed in the Padma Puran. Aprarabdha phalam papam kutam bijam phalonmukham kramenaiva praliyeta Vishnu bhakti ratatmanam. For those who are engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all sinful reactions, whether fructified, in stalk, or in the form of a seed, gradually vanish. This is the purifying potency of devotional service. So even while writing the translation, Srila Prabhupada mentions that these will gradually vanish, and they will vanish in this order. Kramenaiva praliyatam. Kramenaiva praliyatam. So those that are immediate, or those are in the form of a stalk, or those sinful reactions which haven't even fructified, they will gradually and in that order will be rectified when we engage in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this gives us a lot of hope. And Srila Prabhupada's promise also gives us a lot of hope that as we continue to progress on our devotional path every day with our sadhana bhakti, we can be assured that we are walking towards a condition which will be lesser and lesser of reactions from our past karma, whether good or bad, and will be more and more situated on the path of liberation. So this is again my humble understanding, all by the grace of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada and our Guru Acharyas. I stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. So I would request if anybody would like to say any comment or question, or we could. Mataji, can you check you are able to hear us?
Hare Krishna.
Well,
Hare Krishna.
I don't know, if somebody speaks, then only I can. Oh,
Hare
I'm not
Krishna.
able to hear. Oh, that's strange. Wow. Okay, let me check if I may. Yeah, now I can hear. I'm sorry.
You were on mute, or are you able to hear now?
Yeah, I think my volume was low, so I think that's the reason.
I see you were not able to hear us. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, we were from the beginning itself. We were, welcoming, and although I think you didn't hear at all.
Oh, I'm so
And
sorry.
between also, devotees were speaking, and you were not here at all. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
I'm
okay.
so
We
sorry.
rectified. We rectified. That's okay.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Somebody wanted to recite probably the verse with me, and I was just.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Devotees even recited, and that's okay.
Sorry. And next time I'll make sure my volume is okay. This never happened with me on the Zoom. I guess that's why I couldn't imagine that. Sorry.
And we were about to call you, but then I thought, you're taking the class, so I don't want to disrupt that.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Please. No, you can.
Yeah, now we are good. So, dear devotees, please go ahead, and please, if you have any questions, reflections, any concerns, anything to add, any comments. The good times, we have some time. Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Mataji Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I had actually one comment to make. In fact, like just now before the class, I don't know even if it was Salan Prabhu and I were talking, and I was just telling him, I said, when you read and hear about such exalted devotees, I sometimes get disheartened and I say, my God, we have got such a long way to go. I speak for myself. It's really sometimes I get disheartened, like, I feel when will we ever be able to cross this? Then just now when you were just reading about it, right? When you said that when we get to devotional service, the more devotional service we do, it's a purifying process. So I said, just see how the question was answered. And it's like literally about 20 minutes or maybe half an hour ago, we were like, he and I was just telling him about this. I said, I don't know, like in Hindi, like you say, kabhi apna beda paar ho jayega. I don't know. And I said, I've got such a long way to go.
That's true.
So, and then this came up. So I just said, like, Krishna answers your questions, and
Yeah, I think Paramatma, he's always hearing us and guiding us. So we get the answer sometimes in such an immediate basis. That's amazing, isn't it? Like you feel like as if Krishna heard your conversation, and you opened up the chapter, and right there's the answer, right? So yeah,
really.
I agree with you. Sometimes we feel despondent because there's so much but I just keep a faith in that particular verse that it says in the 9th chapter, that purport, like it will happen. And sometimes I also have faith based upon whatever we read so far, like say, even though we are living whatever life we have and we have the reactions, but it's possible that even in this life, there could have been some worse bad reaction, but not have that much of worse reaction. Like whatever happens, much worse could have happened. I feel like there's some role that there's some hand of Krishna that plays a role in between, where even now we feel like yeah, the bad reaction that I was due for is not that bad. I mean, I don't know if you felt that, but I feel it's many times like that. If we,
Yeah, I do feel, and I think that acceptance comes, when things. It's very easy to be Krishna conscious when things go your way.
yeah,
But when things don't go your way,
yes,
that's when you have to have that realization and say that that is also his will.
mhm.
And there must be a reason behind it. And I think that comes with more and more devotional service, Like recently, Prabhu and we got some disappointing news. And for that brief moment, I was disappointed, and as was he. And then literally, like as you flip a switch, I said like, whatever is Krishna's desire, eventually that will only happen, right? So it's okay.
Yes,
And
yes,
I think that's a change which you see.
yes, absolutely. The compound Susamikshmano, like that verse, Prabhupada, keep that verse always in your Kanthimala. It's like accept and then continue your devotion. That's all. And then we will be eligible for liberation one day. Yeah. Yeah. So that spiritual strength you said correctly, it will come and you are able to face with stable mind. Thank you for sharing. That's so nice. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you very much.
Yeah, I think I was hearing, I think it is, I forgot the name, to return very specifically that one who was in the past life, many past lives, that they were pious as well as they were very much worshipping the Supreme Lord in different ways, not directly to the Krishna, but they accumulate a lot of pious credits. And because of that, we are in this lifetime that able to do the devotional service to the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. So another thing, somebody asked this question to Srila Prabhupada, that what is our chance when will be able to go to Supreme Lord? Srila Prabhupada mentioned that probably may not this lifetime, but there may be, Srila Prabhupada said maybe 3 lifetimes, and then some point of time, so maybe 7 lifetimes. So that is a big hope. And also, it is, yeah, I forgot that the devotee's name mentioned that anything in relationship with Krishna in our life happens, that's a mercy from the Lord. Mercy coming through the spiritual master, mercy coming through the devotees. So Krishna is giving us this opportunity to, go back to him. That doesn't mean that we are so much in long way, but if we are determined and engage ourselves, that as mentioned in this chapter, the prescribed duties as well as the especially we are all taken shelter of our Guru and Srila Prabhupada. One time Srila Prabhupada said that, how the Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj mentioned that unless one who chants 64 rounds, he is not able to come out of this. So then, how come then, Srila Prabhupada, that you are so sure about that one who follows you will attain the supreme abode of Krishna? Srila Prabhupada said, I have an entrance, I have a back door that I will take you to through the back door. So these are all our great hope that somehow or other we follow Srila Prabhupada, that, Srila Prabhupada has that assurance. If Srila Prabhupada says, of course, Krishna, listen to that. So, yeah, just wanted to add some comments to that.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Prabhuji. At the same time, I think just expecting to go back to God, it can also be a problem, because that's again another desire that we are hankering for, right? So from that point of view, the Shikshashtakam verse Mama Janmani Janmanishware Bhakta is a very um, relevant, practical and relevant for us, because we can just continue to do our devotion, and Krishna will see when we have to go back to God, and He will take us. We don't have to imagine or assume that. Many times, I mean, I personally feel a little bit not comfortable when sometimes, when devotees are leaving their bodies, and it's like people take on their head the responsibility that I have to send this person back to Godhead by doing something. So I mean, that could be a little bit like a passion, but we have to understand that Krishna has to open the door. Even if we knock on the door, He has to open it. So the best way is Mama Janmani Janmanishwari Bhavatat Bhakta Rahat Ki. Just continue our devotion, and Krishna will see. We do not even know what's our baggage, what to talk about. We do not know what we are carrying. We just see last 10, 15 or 20, 25 years. So we don't know anything what happened in the past life. So I think it's the best way not to speculate as to about who is going back to God and when is going back to God. We just continue as Bhavatat Bhakti Rahat Ki. That's my understanding. So humble. Thank you so much.
Yeah, exactly. Wonderful. Also, I think it's also mentioned that one who is able to do the devotional service, that means he is purifying. I think somebody asked this question, how do I know I'm making progress?
Mhm.
So I think this answer came up that one who is able to selflessly execute his devotional service to the Supreme Lord, that's where we can see that he's making progress selflessly without any motive, ahetugiya pratihata. Unconditional, uninterrupted, and unmotivated devotional service one who performs. That's what is exactly that one who makes the progress in the devotional path. So one who does that, that's what it is. Krishna looks that one. Krishna looks the quality, not the quantity. Krishna looks the the word, the bhava, the mood of the devotion, but anything external. I just wanted to add to that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Prajit.
Anybody else? Anything else would like to add, comment on, or? Okay. So
All right. Thank you.
seems like okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Nandini Mataji, and
Thank you for joining.
so let's pay our obeisance to all the assembled Vaishnava devotees of the Lord.
Vanchakalpatarubhasya Kripasindhubhavacha
Patitanam
Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah.
Vaishnava Vrinda ki
Ki Jai.
Dara Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai.
Ki Jai.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Nanda Gaudi Vaishnava Vrinda ki
Ki
jai.
Jai.
Guru Premanande Hari
Hari Hari Hari Bo. Thank you, everybody. Hari Bo. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare
Hare
Krishna. Thank you,
Krishna.
Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Krishna.